Hi parents, it's Regina Kincaid, International Board Certified Lactation Consultant with Kindest Milk Breastfeeding Support. If you're new to my channel, welcome. On my channel I'm talking all about getting breastfeeding off to a good start and overcoming breastfeeding challenges. So if you like to hear more breastfeeding tips to help you reach your personal breastfeeding goal, consider subscribing to my channel. Today we are talking about a particularly important breastfeeding issue, namely nipple pain. Breastfeeding is supposed to be an enjoyable experience, but one of the leading causes why new parents give up breastfeeding often earlier than they had intended is pain, especially nipple pain. When evaluating nipple pain, it is important to distinguish between typical transient nipple pain and abnormal or pathological nipple pain. Whilst it is true that some breastfeeding people never experience any sort of discomfort with breastfeeding at all, many new mothers report nipple tenderness or soreness in the first 2 weeks of breastfeeding. This typical soreness usually peaks around day 3 to 5 due to changing hormonal levels and the milk coming in. Frequent newborn feeding, getting used to baby suction during feeding and learning how to latch baby may also contribute to some degree of nipple pain in the first 2 weeks postpartum. But what is typical transient nipple pain that doesn't usually indicate a problem? So latch-on pain that doesn't last longer than 30 seconds. There is no nipple pain for the remainder of the feed and no nipple pain after the feed or in between feeds. The pain usually resolves within the first 2 weeks postpartum. And after baby detaches, the nipple is not shaped, lipstick shaped or creased or compressed. And also there is no damage to the nipple such as cracks, blisters or bleeding. Now, how can you best cope with this transient nipple discomfort? So first and foremost, like with a lot of breastfeeding issues, it is really crucial to make sure baby's latch is correct and deep. And it can also help to change breastfeeding positions, so not to use the same breastfeeding position for every feed. This can avoid soreness and the development of nipple compression lines. It can also be helpful to begin breastfeeding on the least sore side. For nipple care, wash your nipples twice daily with a mild soap and water. At the end of the feed, express a few drops of breast milk and rub the breast milk into the nipple and areola area, or use a small amount of purified lanolin, which is derived from sheep's wool. You can also wear Multi-Mam compresses in between feedings. A lot of moms describe them as being quite soothing, and they also can help to keep the nipple flora balanced. A saltwater rinse can also be beneficial, so you can make up a saltwater solution where you take 1 cup of water and half a teaspoon of normal salt and mix that, and then you can rinse it. For example, you can fill this water solution in a sports bottle with a squirty top and then just squirt it over the nipple. Or you can dip your nipple or breast into the cup for less than 5 minutes to avoid overhydration. Then pad the nipple areola area dry before applying lanolin to support moist wound healing. Of course, everyone's pain sensation is different, but nevertheless, everyone's pain is valid. So in order to distinguish between typical transient nipple soreness and abnormal pathological nipple pain, the following usually applies to abnormal nipple pain. So the pain would be described as intense, excruciating or toe curling. It usually lasts for longer than 30 seconds after the initial latch on and may continue through the entire feed and even be noticeable between feeds. The nipples may be damaged, cracked with blisters or bleeding. and the pain may last for longer than the first couple of weeks post-birth, and the nipple may look misshapen or lipstick shaped after feedings. In these instances, it is advisable to get help from a lactation consultant as soon as possible to protect breastfeeding, as breastfeeding is not supposed to be painful like this. Some of the most common causes for abnormal nipple pain or damage are suboptimal latch or shallow latch, whereby the baby's hard palate is rubbing against the nipple, so the nipple is not far enough in baby's mouth and resting at the junction between the hard and the soft palate. It's rubbing against the hard palate and causing friction, compression lines and cracks. The baby may have anatomical oral challenges with an oral restriction such as tongue tie, a high palate or receding chin. Sometimes the breastfeeding parent has anatomical challenges with quite flat or inverted nipples, so it may take some time to get the nipple more everted. Sometimes breast pads could cause dermatitis that also then can cause a breakdown of the nipple skin. And sometimes there's an infection on the nipples such as mastitis, and after mastitis a lot of mums develop thrush. You could be using the wrong size pump shield, so if your pump shield is too small, that will also cause nipple friction and the nipple rubbing against the inside of the funnel of the pump shield. If the shield is too large, then too much of the areola can be drawn into the funnel and also cause damage of the areola or edema of the areola. There's also a condition called vasospasm that can be the cause of nipple pain, and sometimes it is hormonal changes or pregnancy, especially if you have been breastfeeding for a long time without any pain whatsoever and suddenly you experience pain. It could be your periods returning or other hormonal changes, like I said, for example pregnancy. So it's also important when you're evaluating the nipple pain whether this is something that had continued or that you had from the start of your breastfeeding journey, or whether your breastfeeding journey was pain-free for quite some time and now this is happening. Each of these individual causes requires specific treatments, so it is important to get in touch with an experienced breastfeeding professional as soon as possible so they can help you with finding out the underlying cause for your nipple pain and keep your breastfeeding journey on the right track. Check out my website kindnessmilk.com for more breastfeeding support, and otherwise until next time, hope your breastfeeding journey is going well.